Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to All Things Superman, where we simply talk about everything related to Superman, from comics to TV shows to movies and much, much more. All right, guys, so it's official. We are getting our Justice League movie. It's about time we got some official news. Everybody's excited about it, everybody's been expecting it. Though it's not really that much of a surprise that this announcement has been made because I think most of us already assumed that a Justice League movie was coming at one point or another, especially with all of the new characters and cast that were being added to the new Man of Steel 2, or Batman versus Superman as it's affectionately known. So I want to jump into that official decision to do the Justice League movie today, and we'll jump in and talk about it objectively as we always do, get some opinions, talk about what it means, and we'll go from there. All right, let me just first say that there is no one that is more excited about this Justice League announcement than me. Justice League is a movie that I've long said that even before all of the comic book cinematic universes with Marvel and DC, that I believe that a Justice League movie should be on the big screen and that we should see these magnificent characters work together on the screen. So I'm very excited about the announcement. I'm really glad that they were doing it. Again, it's not really that big of a surprise because at some point I expected it to come, especially with, like I say, all of the announcements that's been going on about Man of Steel 2 and all of the movies that Marvel are doing. Of course, they've done their team-up movie with Avengers already, and Avengers 2 is coming out next year. So this movie, again, this announcement is not that big of a surprise. However, it does leave a few questions of how they're going to go about doing this movie. And the first thing that comes to mind to me is who is going to be the leader of the Justice League? Now, in some of the incarnations of the Justice League, like the New 52, Super Friends, and stuff like that, there have been different leaders. I think Batman has been the leader of the Justice League at one point. Superman has been the leader. There's even other incarnations where actually Wonder Woman and some of the other characters as well is the leader of the Justice League. The reason I feel that this is an important topic is because if they're going to do something different with this movie versus what Marvel did with Avengers, the way that Avengers was set up is that, as most of us know, that Captain America is really supposed to be the leader of the Avengers. I really like how they set this movie up, the Avengers up, because they didn't really show that, okay, Captain America is the leader of the Avengers. They just kind of played into it a little bit, and you didn't even really know until the end of the movie where you see them fighting at the end. They're fighting the thing, and then Iron Man says, call it, Cap. So you kind of assume that Captain America is the person who's calling the shots. However, with Justice League, it's a little bit different of a story. There's not so much a defined leader of the Justice League in the nature of the comic. I think most of us assume, or at least the general movie-going audience assumes, that Superman is the leader of the Justice League because he's by far the most popular character. He's been the most popular leader of the Justice League. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that out. Now, my hopes about it is that I really hope that they make Superman the leader in one way or the other. I'm biased towards Superman, but even outside of that, to me, it just makes more sense to have the most powerful superhero character, be the leader of this thing and start it out. It doesn't even mean that he has to be like, Batman, do what I say do, or, Flash, do what I say do, or whatever. It's just that he's the established leader of the organization. So I'm kind of hoping that they lean toward that. If they go the Batman route and make him the leader of the Justice League, and this is going to be my guess, since, like I say, Batman versus Superman is going to be this team-up movie where they probably start the Justice League. So if that's going to be the case, if they make Batman the leader, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Superman has just been established so much already, and then we have to get a new version of Batman in this new Batman versus Superman movie with Ben Affleck playing him. So I think that since Superman has already been established, that it makes more sense for him to be the leader. I guess I could be okay with Batman, being the leader of it. It's honestly not that big of a deal in the scope of the movie. As long as the movie is great, that's all going to matter. But again, if I had my preference, Superman would be the leader of the Justice League for sure. Now, a big thing that is of question to me about this whole decision is, and I stated this in one of my prior videos, is that which version of the Justice League are they going to go with, and who are the characters going to be? Because I think that's really important. Now, the decision for them to put Cyborg or Victor Stone in Batman versus Superman kind of leads me to believe that they're going with the new story of like the New 52, the newer version of the Justice League and stuff like that. So, because Cyborg is not originally a member of the Justice League. Cyborg is originally a member of the Teen Titans. So I think he was just established as one of the founding members of the Justice League in like 2011. So again, that's a relatively new incarnation of the Justice League. Now, if they decide to go with some of the other characters, which a lot of them have been speculated, well, we're already getting some speculations about Jason Momoa playing Aquaman and stuff like that, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But again, just depending on who this team up is going to be, we already know we got at least 4 characters. We got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. So it's going to be really interesting. My honest opinion is I believe that they should go with the original, or lean more toward the original Justice League with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, you know, those. And stick with those. I think those are the more established characters, and it makes more sense to put them on screen. Now, the other part about this is that it just makes more sense to do it that way because I don't want a bunch of characters on screen who have similar superpowers. And namely, I'm talking about Shazam. Now, if you don't know the history of Shazam, basically, in a nutshell, without going into a long story about it, he was basically a version of Superman. A comic book company was sued because they basically, the comic book company that originally owned Shazam was sued by DC because they said that basically they were making a character that was like Superman. And the guy can fly, has similar powers and stuff like that. So I really honestly don't want to see a bunch of characters on screen that have similar superpowers. For me, I think Superman, and this is an important one for me, I think Superman should be the only person that flies in this movie. Of course, Batman can jump off a few buildings and, you know, use his Batwing thing, costume thing to kind of glide down to the earth. But that's not really flying, or not really the power of flight. So by putting Shazam and other people like that in this movie, I think it's going to mess the story up a little bit. And I'm even inclined to say the same thing about Green Lantern. Now, Green Lantern, on the other hand, I think is a little bit more acceptable because of his other powers that he can achieve with the ring. Can look really good on screen and complement what's going on. So his biggest thing is not about flight. Same thing with like the Flash. So Flash runs fast. So I can see that this makes sense to have all of these particular powers from the original Justice League members in this movie. So Flash, you got Wonder Woman, who's basically the woman heroine, which kind of makes sense in the midst of all of these guy superheroes. You got Superman, who's all-powerful, who can fly. You got Batman, who's kind of the intelligent detective guy. Same thing with Cyborg. You got Cyborg that's, you know, half man, half machine. He has, superhuman strength, kind of like RoboCop, as I mentioned in my Cyborg review, or the decision to put Cyborg in the movie review. So those kind of things make more sense to me than like a Superman and a Shazam being in the movie at the same time. I'm not sure how that would work, although that is, it's a lot of rumors still going around now about, Shazam actually being in this movie. So I guess we'll wait to see how that goes. Now, the other thing that this brings up is, or the other question that this brings up is, how will these characters be introduced into the Justice League? Because we only have, limited amount of time on screen to do a movie, 2.5 hours, it's really complicated and hard to focus on, 5 or 6 different stories and introduction stories all at the same time while making this movie about Superman and Batman. So I seriously doubt that's going to happen. So if they're going to start a Justice League with, 7 or 8 characters, and then add, like I say, Aquaman and Flash and Green Lantern to the mix and all of this stuff. And since we know now that the Justice League is shooting back-to-back with Man of Steel 2 or Batman versus Superman, it's going to go right into this. So it's going to be interesting to see how these other characters are introduced. as I just said, we don't really have a lot of time to introduce a whole lot of other characters in this movie and make the movie about Batman and Superman. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they introduce these characters. I hope that it doesn't become just like this, after credit scene that, well, now you see, I don't know, Aquaman coming up from the ocean or something like that, and then that's his introduction. I hope that it's a little bit more detailed than an after credit scene. Although, like I say, after credit scenes are very popular now, I think it would work. Just my preference is that I would hope that it would be something a little bit more than that. Again, the big thing for me is that the Marvel versus DC, the character differences in those are inherent things about these characters that need to be introduced. First is, like Marvel characters like Iron Man, his story of how he started and all of that stuff is not really as important, relatively speaking. It's not really as important as a story like, that of Batman or that of Superman, at least in the context of things. I'm not saying that Iron Man is not an important character, but in the Marvel universe, in the Marvel comics, the story of these characters wasn't really the focus, and it wasn't inherently a part of the characters. That's why you can take a story like Iron Man and play with it. You can take a story like Captain America and kind of play with it, which is what they did in all of these Marvel movies. Same thing with Thor. You can take these, the storylines and play with it. Versus somebody like a Superman or Batman. The whole story of Superman is that, he was born on Krypton, another planet. His planet exploded. They sent him to Earth. That's an inherent part of his story. He comes from an advanced civilization, all of that. So you can't really mess with the canon of the story like that with these characters. So same thing with a lot of these characters like Flash and Aquaman. Their stories are relatively speaking, a bit more important. So I think that it needs to have a little bit more time spent on them. Now let's talk a little bit about the Jason Momoa involvement. If you don't know, rumors about Jason Momoa being involved in this movie or the DC Cinematic Universe in some way has been happening for a long time. Those rumors have been going around for a long, long time. It kind of died off, and recently it just kind of resurfaced that he had been in talks to do some role in this, DC Cinematic Universe. Most people are speculating that it's something like, Aquaman. And I want to deal directly with that. Now, as far as Aquaman is concerned, he was one of those characters that about 2 years ago, up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was saying, oh, you cannot do a movie about Aquaman. This just absolutely does not make sense. Like, who wants to see... I had the picture of Aquaman from Super Friends in my mind, and I was like, who wants to see, like, this, guy talking to fish or something like that? However, since then, I've come to kind of change my mind and change my opinion about it, especially after I bought the game, Injustice Gods Among Us, and I played that game, and I saw what they did with the story of Aquaman in that game and how they kind of made him look cool. And it just occurred to me, I was like, oh my God, like this can absolutely work. Like we can put this on screen and I think it would be a nice movie. So if they take this Aquaman in a more of a type of like a 300 or a Hercules or Conan the Barbarian type of feel with Aquaman, I really, really think that he could work or do this kind of Middle Earth thing scenario that's going on with Aquaman. I really think that could work in the whole scheme of things in the Justice League. So am I okay with Jason Momoa playing Aquaman? Sure. Aquaman, again, is one of those characters that, I think most people kind of at least know a little bit about. But his story is not that, people are not as emotionally attached to his story and his character as somebody like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. So, sure, I think Jason Momoa could do a good job. He has the kind of the look. I think he has that look to where he could give that 300 kind of perfect for Zack Snyder as well. Perfect for Zack Snyder. It's a perfect fit for him. I think to where he can do, where he takes these 300 kind of movies and makes them have that look and that grit that I think Aquaman would deserve or need in a film with the other superheroes. The biggest question about this thing, in which I think is going to get the most notoriety and publicity, is whether or not Zack Snyder is the right person to do the Justice League. As you know, with the announcement to do the Justice League movie, came the announcement that Zack Snyder was going to be on board to direct this movie. So up until now, up until this point, Zack Snyder has gotten kind of mixed reviews. A lot of people still really liked Man of Steel, but there was quite a few people who didn't like it. Now, on the other side of that token, I think all of that's really about this whole DC versus Marvel nonsense and people just hating on Superman and stuff like that. I think you can chalk most of it up to that. But be that as it may, there's still some people who liked and disliked Man of Steel. And because of some of Zack Snyder's other movies, you know, people tend to form opinions about it. Now, is Zack Snyder the right choice to direct Justice League? Here's my opinion, and this is what I always say, guys. You got to realize, I don't think that there's a perfect or right person to do anything. I think at this point, Zack Snyder is the choice that makes sense. He's already a part of this universe. He's already done Man of Steel. He's working on Batman, Superman. Obviously, Warner Brothers and DC trusts him with, you know, with what he's doing with these movies. He has people like Ben Affleck on board and David Goyer. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense for Zack Snyder to do these movies. I'm not really against it at all. I really can't think of anybody better that I would like to see, especially now that this Man of Steel universe has been established. I can't really think of anybody else that I would like to see, you know, do these movies or anything like that. So I think Zack Snyder makes sense. But again, there's no right choice, guys. And I want to give you an analogy to help you understand how this works. So I'm a musician. I do a lot of production work, and a lot of times I have to hire lots of musicians. I have to hire, you know, singers and stuff like that to do certain jobs. Now, I have a group of people or a pool of people who I normally kind of select from because I enjoy working with them. And I think that, you know, certain people can do certain jobs well, so I'm going to call them. So, for example, if I'm doing if I'm producing, say, an R&B song, I have, you know, somebody that I need to play, or no, somebody I need to sing vocals on. Now, there's a person that I have in mind because I like working with this person that I'm going to call. It doesn't mean that somebody else can't do the job. It doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't even do the job better or that they wouldn't be better for the job. But I have a certain style of the way that I do things, and I like the way that these people or this person that I would choose does this specific job. So the same thing with movies, guys. You know, when you're talking about a director, there's not really a right person for the job. The Warner Brothers situation is probably just like mine. They have a group of people or a pool of people that they like to deal with. Zack Snyder's already proved that he can do the job and do it well. So why not? Hey, you're on a roll here. Keep Zack Snyder on board. Keep him, you know, while he's hot, keep him doing these movies. So it just makes sense, guys. It's not really a thing of right or wrong or whether or not he's going to mess up the movie or anything like that. So again, just keep that in mind when we're having all of these discussions, as I'm sure that's going to come up about whether or not Zack Snyder is the right choice for directing the Justice League. Now, the final thing I'll say about this choice to do Justice League, or the official announcement to do Justice League, is whether or not we're going to get this movie in 2017, 2018, or 2019, and if there are going to be, between that time, other standalone movies. Up until this point, again, DC has kind of kept a lot of this stuff under wraps. I think the reason a lot of it is coming out now is because they're starting to shoot Batman versus Superman, and of course, at some point, some pictures and some rumors and all that kind of stuff was going to get out. So they're making these announcements beforehand, before, you know, some guy with a cell phone, you know, on the freeway takes a picture of Ben Affleck running down the street in the bat suit and puts it online. So of course they're going to make these type of announcements and stuff beforehand. But it's going to be interesting to see whether or not we get this. They're filming the movies back to back, which again makes perfect sense to me. If Batman versus Superman is going directly into the Justice League movie, shoot them back to back. Makes sense. It just like Superman 1 and Superman 2, the Christopher Reeve movies. It made sense. They had the story already. They had the cast that was already on board. Shoot both movies at the same time. So anyway, it's really going to be really interesting to see that. And I hope that we get at least another DC character announcement, you know, maybe standalone movie like Shazam or something like that that's being rumored, which I do hope they do a standalone Shazam movie instead of putting him in the Justice League. But we'll see how that works out. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how this all works out. Again, guys, I'm super excited about the Justice League movie. It's a movie that we've all been waiting for. DC is finally anteed up and said, okay, we're going to do this Justice League movie, and we're going to make it good. We got our director, we got our cast, and we're good to go. So I'm super excited. I can't wait for 2017 or 2018 when this movie comes out. I'm really waiting on Batman versus Superman. Hope that's going to turn out really, really well. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go do that right now. I'm going to be putting up a lot of more videos coming up very, very soon, because I'm sure we're going to get some announcements about the new Batman suit, about the new Wonder Woman suit, about the new Superman costume, all of this kind of stuff that'll be coming out very, very soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at this link right here. Go follow me on Twitter now. I tweet out a lot of things about upcoming announcements, a lot of things that I don't talk about in the videos. So I tweet out a lot of those things, and then we can discuss them and stuff in the chat boards. So make sure you go follow me on Twitter again at this link. Go subscribe to the channel, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.